And now we gather for our Let There Be Peace on Earth song on our little card. Thank you all for being here. Yes, indeed. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for bringing us all together as we come together with our open hearts. In gratitude for this space and for the opportunity for friendship and connection to Spirit. And with this, we say thank you. And now repeat after me, please, our 3 affirmations. Joyful teamwork is our way. Joyful teamwork is our way. Listening kindly is our path. Listening kindly is our path. We are in renewal together. We are in renewal together. Thank you. And now we'll read our principles. You'll find them on a soft sheet inside of the hymnal. All right, we begin with, we believe God is the eternal source and creator of all and is present in everything. Our eternal soul, endowed with free will, grows through many lifetimes. Communication occurs between the physical and spiritual worlds. Prayer and meditation strengthen our connection to the divine. All healing comes from Source. Seeking this for ourselves and compassion for others suffering is the highest priority. Because we are all one, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. The choice of love is always open for every soul. Living these principles leads us to grow in divine love. And now, in this abbreviated service we're having this morning, because we're going to follow with the annual meeting, I want to introduce our speaker. He's going to give a brief presentation today, and it's our own Michael Anderson. And right now, we're just introducing you, but come on up for a minute, because you can introduce us to the next hymn. He will be speaking today on rupture and repair. And we may extend this into a longer talk at some point, but he's going to have a little message for us in a little bit. But right now, he has a hymn.
This is one of my favorite hymns. It talks about a passion for one's own space, one's own homeland, oneself, and recognizing that same sense of self in somebody else in other lands. So number 206, this is my song. This is my song, O God of the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other loves in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the oceans, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace, for their love and for mine. This is my prayer, O Lord of all earth's kingdom. Thy kingdom come, on earth thy will be done. Let Christ be lifted up till all men serve him, and hearts united learn to love as one. Oh, hear my prayer, thou God of all the nations. Myself I give thee, let thy will be done.
And now, as we do each week, we turn to our healing bowl. And we ask for our hearts to hold the prayers that are there, always alive, always available to intend a message there any time of the day or night. And at this time, I want to hear from any of us who have prayers that they would like us to bring to our prayer time today. Sarah Paginen. And Jan? Jan.
I don't know what to say exactly, but we've had another death in our family. So that makes 3. And this is the son of, half-brother of my children, and their stepmother's son. And he died from drinking too much. He basically killed himself. He's had trouble for a long time. And I would just like a prayer for the family, of course, and for his passing, that his heart will open up when he reaches the other side. Thank you.
His name.
Oh, Tim Treadle.
Thank you. Anybody else have a prayer? I would like to bring Jean Quaco and her sister Elaine to our prayer circle today, our prayer time today. She's in cancer treatment and here to visit Jean and Jerry. And it's a poignant visit. Her name is Elaine. And of course, Jean, her sister, and Jerry, part of the family, brother-in-law. All right, my friends, let us take a little time in silence, and then we will go into our talk with Michael. Blessed be to all these and all the world, in all of us. Amen. And now we will hear from Michael. Thank you.
So, what a great opportunity to speak in front of you. There was a time that I felt that I could say everything I know in 10 words or less. Okay, things have changed a little bit, but I also find that because of the humiliation that I experienced when I was a kid, my nervous system would shut down. I mean, it's pretty normal to get into that anxiety place and lose our sense of your cognitive ability to have a continuity of thoughts and feelings. And when the anxiety comes in, those thoughts and feelings are really limited anyway. So I'm going to try to stay open and free to express myself. And I have a whole idea that when we do become ruptured from that sense of self, a real voice as such, when we become ruptured from that, we lose a reality, that whole idea of it being a safe place is compromised. So we stay stuck in a place of anxiety, which I think is kind of human nature for some of us, for some not so much. In finding one's voice, there is an opportunity to find that connectedness and to breathe into it and to open it up and to free it up. Let me define a rupture a little bit more. A rupture is a momentary breakdown in a relationship, a disruption to the emotional connection we have with a loved one. And let me consider that there's three significant relationships: our relationships with ourselves, our connectedness with ourselves, our heart, our intelligence, our connection with other people, that ability to really share and really express ourselves with someone else, to be open and free to express oneself, to be authentic, to be real. And again, to find a safe place that we can do that. And another significant, with a capital S, relationship is our connection with spirit, okay? And that spirit, that life force that lives within each one of us. In the words of a song, it lives within each part and is the whole. It's the fire and the wings that fly us home. That brings me to share a little bit of a poem from a significant sage, a prophet, a poet. I know that love is living, is seeing. I know that love is seeing all the infinite in one, in the brotherhood of creatures, with the Father, with the Son. The vision of your goodness will sustain me through the cold. Take my hand now and remember, when you find yourself alone, you know you're never alone. And the Spirit fills the mountains and the heavens. It fills the endless yearning of the soul. It lives within each part, each star too far to dream of. It lives within each part and is the whole. It's the fire and the wings that fly us home. Fly us home. Fly us home. And what is it to be at home in one's own physical body? To be at home in one's own psychological body? To be at home in one's intellectual body? And to be at home in one's spiritual body? Okay? I'm going to consider that in many ways we are ruptured from that place of being at home, being attuned at one with oneself, and also being attuned or at one with other people too, with the idea that we all share that life force, that energy, that connection with spirit, okay? It's a hard thing because we get stuck, from my perspective, we get stuck in protecting ourselves. So within that idea of rupture, that disconnection with ourself, that strength, that comes from that connection with Source, in truly finding one's voice, that ability to have the courage to express oneself, to speak one's truth, to understand what truth and goodness and beauty is within oneself, and to see that in other people. Very much in line with what the song talks about. This is my song, but other people have their own song. And when we all have an opportunity to come from that space, from that place, and to feel that release of life force, that release of energy, then we have an opportunity to be more at one, more attuned with oneself, and be attuned with others, and to create a whole nother state of consciousness, okay? To get into that other state of consciousness. And sometimes it takes a ceremony or a ritual or breathing stuff in order to find that space, to find that place. That's one of our great challenges. Physical growth, emotional growth, intellectual growth. It's gaining an understanding, which is part of the intellectual growth, understanding of some of the challenges of being human, and being able to transcend or understand how we get stuck in program patterns of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and behaviors. Sometimes it's the same stuff, different day, okay? And getting stuck in that cycle of shame, cycle of fear. In trauma work, we call that reenactment, okay? Same stuff, different day. Program patterns. Sometimes we're frustrated because we can't find our way out of it. Sometimes we blame systems, other people, for not creating a safe space, or for not seeing things the way we see it. Quite an expectation, yes. And I think we all have that have our own truth, our own way of understanding things. So it's a challenge to go beyond it. In psychology, again, rupture and repair is about breaking, fixing, and improving relationships. Again, relationship with self, relationship with others, with relationship with a higher power, or one's own life force, a reconnection. It's about a breach or disconnect in a relationship followed by a restoration and positive continuation of that relationship. Finding that continuum, that sustained connection with our higher self, our life force, our spirit. That whole idea of, in talking with Carolyn the other day, I just happened to be studying something on rupture and repair, and it comes from attachment theory in psychology, where invariably there's a rupture in the early developing child. Yet a secure attachment will involve both rupture and repair in the developing self-regulation, trust, and the ability to grow with at least a relatively secure sense of self. And here again, so much of life is understanding oneself and growing to that understanding, where we have an opportunity to feel that inner strength, that knowing, and being more in a responsive space than in a reactive space. Reactive meaning program patterns, okay, which keeps us stuck in frustration, disappointment. We try to find a way of countering or soothing that void, that emptiness that we are in the process of repairing or reconnecting with. And as we continue to grow into that person that we're meant to be, not in spite of all that stuff, but because of it. We grow because we have an opportunity to see and understand the human suffering, sometimes where it came from, okay? There's a saying that goes, childhood experiences determine all the adult behavior. And unresolved stuff will continue. And again, in trauma work, the reenactment, the same stuff, different day. How we have an opportunity to bring people into ourselves so we have an opportunity to re-experience that. We're not stuck in one of these, although we can be stuck in one of these, cycle of shame, cycle of fear. As we grow, we get into more of a spiral, okay? And yet we still experience similar situations as we go along. When we have an opportunity to understand our own programming, understanding what happens, why it happens, and in that understanding, to be able to grow and to change behaviors. Again, in trauma work, in all psychotherapy is trauma work, okay? Because we're dealing with what it is to be human. In that process of restoration, what is the word? Repair, reconnecting with our sense of self. The second part of trauma work is renegotiation, which is not acting out in the same way, but changing the way one sees things and acts out with that understanding, that deep understanding, okay? And the third part is a transformation, the transition into oneself. And in Jungian psychology, the self, it's not the ego, it's not the who the hell do you think you are? Because that's so up and down, that's so fickle depending on the day. Some days are good hair days. Some good days are good voice days, okay? And it's understanding that that is what it is to be human, and at the same time, there's a bigger picture. And the more we have an opportunity to connect with that bigger picture, that understanding of ourselves as a life force, and with a sense of purpose and meaning, okay? Which is one of the ways that we define ourselves, truly define ourselves. We get out of the survival mode and we get into the growth, into becoming the person we're meant to be. In Maslow talked about the hierarchy of needs, going from basic safety to esteem issues. And the higher part of that triangle is self-actualization. So in the process of realization, in that process of becoming, in that process of repair, we have an opportunity to integrate physical, emotional, intellectual into a greater understanding of oneself. Yeah. It lives within each part and is the whole. It's the fire and the wings that fly us home. Just a couple more things here. You can imagine, here's an example of the Gerber baby, okay? Cute little kid, he's in this high chair, mom is over here, peas all over the place, mashed potatoes all over the place. And he's getting the good stuff because mom and dad love him. It doesn't make any difference how much of a mess. They're adoring the kid, and the kid is just filled with joy because he's getting all the good stuff. He's also free to be who he is, he or she is. So the next day, mom or dad are not there, or maybe they are, but they're just not able to give the Gerber baby the attention that he's accustomed to, okay? So the baby in his wise mind, the toddler in their wise mind thinks, what's wrong here? And at that age, they tend to internalize it, what's wrong with me, okay? That's a good example of rupture, okay? In a healthy situation with relatively secure attachment, the baby will get the good stuff to repair that, okay? Some people grow up in insecure attachment or disorganized attachments, so they don't trust when it comes because they've learned to put up walls to protect themselves from any more pain. Does that pain go away? It stays stuck in the physical body. It stays stuck in the psychological body. So in psychotherapy, we start processing all that stuff. We understand where we hold it in our physical body. That's significant somatic focused therapy. Where we hold it in our body and the emotion behind that. We breathe into it, we process it. We don't process it in our thinker because it's our thinker that took us out of the emotion. We process it by going into the emotion, exploring the emotion, and simply by breathing into it, deep breathing into it, there's an opportunity to integrate that into that other part of our brain. Okay? Part of me can go on forever, okay? Especially once I get into it, okay? And I'm sorry for that. I'm going to close with this. Oh yeah. Self-regulation is returning to the center. Remember the Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men do have the ability to repair Humpty Dumpty again. How about that?
Michael, that was extraordinary. Thank you so much. I guess the time was right. Yeah. Dear friends, we're going to open into the next stage now of this gathering today. We're going to open in